Life is a cruel taskmaster. Either you master it or it master you. The capacity to surmount failure without being discouraged is the chief asset of every man who attains outstanding success in any calling. To become a success in life, you must pursue a definite goal with a definite plan, which must be persistently and continuously applied to its manifestation. You can achieve whatever you conceive in mind and which you believe in. Welcome to Success Digest, where we analyze and discuss those ingredients required for your financial independence and for you to live your desired abundant life. My name is Kayode Enrighton, the publisher of Success Digest video series and the journals, and also the CEO, Kenneth Consult Limited, a financial service firm that is based in London. Today's topic of my discussion is failure, the unavoidable devil. Failure, the unavoidable devil. To fail is to be unsuccessful, to be judged being below the required standard in a test, or unable to do something. Devil is evil, evil spirit, evil person, something difficult or annoying. Unavoidable devil is something difficult to bear but which you still must experience. Failure occurs when we do things the wrong way and we achieve accomplishment when the same thing is done the right way. For to every failed endeavor, there is planted the seed of success. All what we need to do is to find that seed, plant it on a fertile soil, and wait for it to germinate to fruitfulness before we harvest it. That seed of success will not germinate and grow under the influence of a drifter. It brings to life only when it is in the hands of one who recognizes that most failures are only temporary defeat and who never, under any circumstances, accept defeat as an excuse for drifting. We set out in life to succeed and not to fail. Unfortunately, majority of people begin to drift as soon as they meet with opposition, and not 1 out of 10,000 will keep on trying after failing 2 or 3 times. Failure breaks down one's morale, destroys self-confidence, subdues enthusiasm, dulls imagination, and drives away definiteness of purpose. Without overcoming these qualities, no one can permanently succeed in any undertaking. We must therefore avoid discouragement whenever we meet with opposition and regard failure as a temporary setback. You are not a failure until you accept it as a failure. Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success, I repeat. It is the capacity to summon failure without being discouraged that become the main asset of every man or woman who attain outstanding success in any calling in his life. Failure is a virtue only when it does not lead one to quit trying and begin drifting. Non-drifter convert failure into stepping stones. Who is a drifter, you may ask me? A drifter is someone who moves aimlessly through life without a goal. They are carried about life aimlessly and being drifted here and there by the current of life circumstances. Drifters lack critical thinking ability and as such do not think but allow others to think for them. You will agree with me that most of those thoughts will be to their detriment, having relinquished their power to think to others. The human body can be imprisoned and controlled by physical force, but it is not so with the human mind. Nobody can control the mind of a normal healthy person if that person chooses to exercise his God-given right to control his own mind. A lot of us go through life without having discovered the strength, that is the talent, which lies dormant in our own minds. Any person that wakes up and discovers where his strength lies and uses it possibly will be transformed to a genius. Wake up and arise. Become great as God created you. This brings me to hypnotic reading. Drifters, more often than not, become casualties of hypnotic reading. This is a state of mental automation where individual falls into predictable pattern, often negative, and drift through life without conscious direction or intention. a state of being influenced by external forces, habit, fear, rather than making deliberate choices based on one's own purpose and desire. It is the means by which nature makes habit permanent, becoming a mindless zombie. A drifter lacks critical thinking and repeat. What are the consequences of hypnotic breathing? It leads to life of mediocrity, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled life potentials. How do you break free from this negative mental automation that makes you to drift through life without conscious direction or intention? First of all, you must cultivate self-awareness. The beginning of the end of a mystery in your life is to realize that you are in a mess. This must be followed by the development of definite purpose for your life, having a goal. Then surround yourself with positive influencers and cap it with actively choose action that align with your goal. Life gives no one immunity against adversity. A successful man meets with temporary defeat and failure, but his reaction to all forms of adversity is positive and he acts accordingly. He fights instead of giving up and usually wins. Life gives to everyone the power of positive thought, which is sufficient to master all circumstances of adversity and convert them into benefits. The individual is left with the privilege of using or neglecting to use a prerogative right to think his way through all adversities. Every individual is forced either to use a thought power for the attainment of definite positive end, or by neglect or design, use its power for the attainment of negative ends. There can be no compromise, no refusal to use your mind. The law of hypnotic reading forces every individual to give some degree of use, either negative or positive, to his mind, but it does not influence the individual as to which use he makes of his mind. Why is failure unavoidable? Failure gives a person an opportunity to test himself, wherein he may learn how much willpower he possesses. It forces people to learn many truths of which they will never discover without it. Study the lives of all people who achieve outstanding success in any calling and observe with understanding that their success is usually in exact ratio to their experiences of defeat before succeeding. They master their tasks through temporary defeat and do not allow their tasks to master them. At the beginning, I told you that life is a cruel taskmaster. Do not allow it to master you. It is when you hit bottom and survive that you realize that it is a good thing to have to endure an agonizing experience occasionally. Agonizing experience is inevitable in our lives, and when it comes, we should try not to cry over split meat, but instead calmly analyze our past mistakes, learn from them, and forget about the past. One science teacher taught his class this lesson this way. One morning, when the class filed into the science laboratory, the teacher prominently displayed a bottle of milk on the edge of the desk. The class all sat down, standing at the milk and wondering what it had to do with the hygiene course he was teaching. Then all of a sudden, the teacher stood up, swept the bottle of milk with a crash into the sink, and shouted, "Don't cry over spilled milk." He then made the class all to come to the sink and look at the wreckage. "Take a good look," he told his class. "That milk is gone. You can see that it is down the drain, and all the fuse and hair pulling in the wall won't bring back a drop of it. With a little thought and prevention, that milk might have been saved, but it's too late now. All what we can do is write it off, forget it, and move on to do the next thing." That should teach every one of us about practical living in life, that we should keep from splitting the milk if we could, but to forget it completely once it has been split and had gone down the drain. You can saw the wood, but nobody ever saw the sawdust that come out of the wood. Knowledge is power, we all say, but knowledge only becomes power when it is applied. That is why what we do here at Success Digest is to encourage you to acquire knowledge, and not only that, but encourage you to apply it after it has been acquired. When you fail in your endeavor and hit bottom, you find out you cannot go further down, and the next thing is to go up. You then develop strength, fortitude, and confidence. That confidence will give you the enthusiasm to stand, and you will realize that you can stand more than you think you can. This is what happened to an author who went out the back door when the sheriff came in from the front door. He lost his home where his children were born and where the family had lived for 18 years. 12 years before, he was on top of the world and had sold the motion picture right to his novel for a top Hollywood price. He and his family, they summered in Switzerland and wintered on the French Riviera, being rich. Then, it dawned on him that he had great abilities that he had never developed and fancies becoming a businessman, investing in vacant land in New York, buying and selling real estate. To finance his new career, of which he had little knowledge, he mortgaged his home and bought some of the finest building lots in Forest Hills, Long Island. His plan was to hold the land until it reached a fabulous price, then sell it and live in luxury. But suddenly, the Great Depression swept down on him and shook him like a tornado. He became worried as he had to keep up the payment on the now mortgaged house and find food for his family. He went back to writing books, but unable to sell anything. He had nothing on which to borrow money except his typewriter. The milk company stopped delivering milk. The gas company turned off the gas. He ran out of coal and the company sued. Their only heat was the fireplace. It became difficult for him to sleep. He lost the only vacant land he has bought and all the maintenance he had poured on it. The bank closed the mortgage on his house and put him and his family on the street. In some ways, he managed to get hold of a few dollars and rent a small apartment. When the family moved in the last day of 1933, he sat down on a packing case and an old saying of his mother came unto him that, "Don't cry on spilled milk." After he had sat there for a while, he began to think of the fine things that the mortgage had not taken from him, and that was his good health and his friends. There and then, he decided not to grieve over the past, but to start again. He decided to repeat to himself every day the word he had often heard his mother saying about the spilled milk. He put his energy onto his work and not on his predicament. Little by little, his situation began to improve. He became thankful that he had to go through his misery, for it gave him experience and knowledge he could not have gained other way. He summoned failure and was not discouraged on his ability to create wealth. Temporary defeat, when handled properly, can become the catalyst to your greatness. You are not a failure until you accept it in your own mind that you are a failure. I'm going to stop here, but should you be interested in some discussion on this topic or on any of my previous videos, please feel free to contact us at Kenny Consult Limited and allow us to discuss with you more enlightenment and ingredients needed for becoming financially independent. We are the financial experts that specializes in financial management. We will invest your fund on financial instruments for you at stock exchange and manage it for you thereafter. We also provide training in career and skill development, business and entrepreneurial development, business counseling, mentoring, and this includes youth vocational training. Let us continue to travel together on this journey of success through the path of wisdom, to be informed, to be transformed, and not to be informed, to be deformed. I'm still Kayode Enrighton, and I can be reached on 074-2794-2000 or 07951-775255. Better still, visit our website, kennisconsultlimited.uk, kennisconsultlimited.uk. If you are blessed by this video, please subscribe to it, share it, and like it. Also visit our blog on YouTube for more of our videos. Please continue to enjoy your success.
Welcome to Success Digest, where you obtain ingredients, for your financial abundance and financial wellness and be fully financially independent. Let us travel together on this our journey of success through the path of wisdom. To be informed is to be transformed, not to be informed is to be deformed. Success Digest leads you to financial independence.